Welcome back. I'm sure some of you have seen my previous videos on my arcade machine, and if you have seen them, you know that I love having this thing around. But that being said, there's always one thing that I wanted to fix on this machine and just never had what I needed to fix it, and now I have it. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to show it to you right now. Move the camera here. That is a brand spanking new arcade monitor. So the first thing we want to do is get these speakers off of here and a few things from around the machine and get it pulled out so we can look in the back. So what you're going to want to do first is open up this front panel here, and you're going to take these 3 screws out, and that'll allow you to actually pull the shell up off of the monitor here. And you're also, and in my case I've got this this extra piece on here to hold the speakers, and it's sort of permanently bolted on there. But regardless, you're going to want to, it's hard to get the camera in here, sorry guys. You're going to want to take this back panel off here for the speakers too, because it will actually hold everything, there we go, hold everything onto the machine. So if you take this back panel off, then you should be able to pull this off pretty easily. And one of the other things that you should remember is this is for your speakers here, and this actually runs up through the panel, so you're going to want to unplug that as well. Maybe. There we go. So now that that's unplugged, we can just lift this guy off of here and take a look inside. Okay, so now we have this beast opened up here, and you can see, even with it off, you can see the burn in here from Raiden Fighter's jet. Apparently that's what was in here before I bought this machine. And that's not the only problem with this monitor. It's got a few other display issues and a hold issue. Makes the screen a little bit jumpy at times. But regardless, when you take these things out of here, now our new one has a chassis and a frame and everything with it, so we're just taking the whole thing out. So what you're going to want to do is undo these bolts here with your good old ratchet tool here. That's the right size, and it isn't. Okay. Of course. I bet it's for this one. Yeah, okay. So anyway, once you get the right size on there, you can drop it in the floor and then take all of these off. And when you take the nuts off of here, it's not going to fall out or anything. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, it will still sit on here, but then it'll be loose so you can pull it out. Now the other thing to be sure to remember is when you're pulling these things out of a cabinet, you want to make sure it's disconnected from everything else in the cabinet, or you're going to be, jerking wires out. And these things are so heavy that, especially if you're doing this by yourself, you're just going to end up, just breaking the wires because you're not going to want to deal with it. So the ones you need to worry about are obviously where your video signal comes in from the machine and the power comes in from the machine. Those are the big ones. And let me see, you might be able to see this better from the front actually. If you can look in there, right there is where all of that connects. So all you have to do is pull that guy out of there and it's not connected to the machine anymore. Now the other thing that you want to be careful about is usually these video adjustment boards that they put in these machines that you put in the front. This is also connected to the monitor itself. So you want to make sure to unhook these, and usually a lot of times, especially if someone else has done this, you'll see it's kind of all bound up here. So you want to just unplug it from the chassis. Let's see. This should be interesting. It's very tight back here. It's not really much of a problem for me trying to get into this, but trying to get a camera in here is kind of nuts. Alright, so I'm not sure what you're looking at. Hold on. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see this, but right where I have the flashlight pointed there and there, you need to unplug those two guys. And honestly, you don't really need to know. Like it's probably gonna be at a different point on your chassis, but all you have to do is just follow these two and see where they go. And honestly, usually the connectors are different looking enough that you can tell which ones they are. Also, I would recommend, especially if this is your first time doing something like this, take lots and lots of pictures of everything before you start unplugging things, because believe it or not, even though it looks like everything will only go in one place, you may get confused when you start trying to hook things back up. Alright, so let me break my back and get this guy out of here, and then we'll put the new one in. Right. Okay, so now we have our monitor out, and we have a great big gaping hole here. And as usual in these machines, it's kind of dirty inside. I did clean it, and I actually went back and cleaned it a little bit, but these things just tend to be nasty. So here's the plug that we had that was going into our old board. Now we're going to have to actually cut the end off of this because, as usual, the connectors usually aren't the same from monitor to monitor. Now what we have here on the top are the ones that we're going to need the most in this particular case, which is our video signal. And this is our red, green, blue sync, and the ground is actually the white one here, which is kind of odd in this case. Usually your ground is black and the sync is white, but regardless, that is the actual ones on this. And the way you can tell is either to trace those back to the JAMA harness and see where they go, or the easier way is to look at the other side and see where that stuff goes, and it's pretty easy to tell. Now on our new monitor here, we have a few differences. First of all, we've got a whole new adjustment board here, so that will actually replace this guy here, so we're going to have to undo that and sort of fit the new one in there. And then, let's see, also our power, sorry, I'm doing a good job of working the camera here. Our power actually goes to a plug this time. We don't have to hook it to the machine itself. Now I could, but in this case this is a low and medium res monitor, and I know sometimes there can be some issues with hooking up the power. So in my case I'm just going to use the plug because that's what it came with, and there's a little hook here, and this can only go in one way, so there's no need to worry about that. Okay, the only other thing that we need to deal with is this guy, and this is what actually gives us our signals on this particular monitor. And this is red, green, blue, and then there's a bit of a mystery because there are 6 pins here, and you only use 5 of them. I'm not sure how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but here's where it plugs in. Now in the manual it says that it's red, green, blue, ground, sink, and the top pin is the empty one. But it kind of looks on here. You can see the red, green, blue. E is for earth, which is the ground, and then it looks like the empty pin is the fifth one, and the sink is the top one there, which kind of makes sense on the connector too, because the white is usually your sink. So I'm going to try it that way, and if it doesn't work, then I guess I can try it the other way. After a few technical difficulties and having to get a replacement monitor for the replacement monitor, I finally got this second one hooked up here, and it looks like everything's working fine. And now I actually hooked this up last night because, as this is a brand new monitor, never been turned on before, it actually has to be on for a few hours before all of the phosphors glow as much as they're going to. Of course, I didn't leave it on with this static screen, but I'm going to show you now how to make some adjustments on it. And first of all, I want to point out, as I'm sure you can see, it's not in the machine. I've actually just hooked it up outside of the machine, and the reason is it makes it a lot easier to get to these little control pots back here on the neck board. And there's also a couple on the flyback transformer right here that we're going to want to check out. Now what I did was, let's see, this is our old connector that went to the old chassis, and so I just cut the signal wires off of that. Now these bottom ones are for power, and we don't actually need these on the new one because it just has a plug, so we can just plug that in, and that should work fine. I'm not sure, for some of you guys out there looking at getting a new monitor, I'm not sure how you would work this, but in my case, my machine is on all the time as far as the switch in the back, and then I use, let's see, this guy over here, which is, this is just a remote for my switchable power strip, so I just turn that on and everything comes on, so I can just plug the monitor into that same one. So for the individual signals, since I was having trouble with the first replacement monitor, I decided to just put some quick disconnects on here, and that way I could you know, go ahead and change things around. Right, so now I'm going to just do some adjustments, and things might look a little strange. I've actually got a fluorescent light on in here just to get enough light in the room, so things might look a little weird to you guys, but we're going to try adjusting these things. Now on the back we have our red, green, and blue adjustments, and sometimes you'll have those on this little part in the front. Let me flip this so I can see what I'm doing. On this little set of adjustments in the front. Some of the Japanese ones particularly have that, but most of the time you'll find it on the neck board back here. And the way you adjust those, for instance, if we've got our red here, you can see if I turn it down it looks terrible right there. But you turn it, just crank it up, and you can see how it kind of bleeds over. You just wait until it bleeds over like that, and then you turn it back just to the point where it doesn't bleed anymore. Right? And let's see. Do the same with the green. You can see it kind of bleeding over there. Turn it back just enough to where it stops bleeding. And same for your blue. Okay, so that should be good back there. Now we can do two adjustments on the flyback transformer, and that controls our sharpness and the amount of brightness that we're getting on this. And usually, if I'm right, the bottom one, yeah, is usually the brightness, and things will get kind of washed out that way. And I'd recommend, you know, going a little, maybe a little on the low side with the brightness, because you can also control that in the front here too. And we'll just try to get our focus here. Alright, this is a little difficult to do right in front of it. Let's see, let me try this one more time. I'd recommend spending plenty of time on the focus to make sure everything is looking just right. Okay, so now we got our controls on the neck board taken care of, and we'll just do a little bit of tweaking up here. Now, first of all, you can see that things are kind of going off to the side here, and that's going to be a problem with your horizontal hold. So we'll just adjust that so everything's nice and straight. And then you can also see on this side we've got quite a bit of room left, and this side is sort of right up next to the side here. So I'm going to adjust the position a little bit, and of course that knocks our hold out. Okay. Oh jeez. Alright, there we go. So now it's nice and centered. I like to leave a little bit of extra room on either side because this particular setup screen here, if I have this take up the whole screen, then my Neo Geo MVS and some of my other boards actually are too big for the screen. So let's see. Vertical looks pretty good. So I might actually... Okay, no, that's as far up as it goes. Alright, so our vertical I'm just going to leave as is. And then we can turn up the brightness there, which we don't want to turn up too much, obviously. And contrast. Actually, I might want to turn these up a little bit and maybe adjust things in the back again, because they were right at the very bottom when things started looking good. So in this case, I might want to do that again. Alright. Let's see what we have here now. Okay, that looks alright. And this isn't the prettiest screen to sort of test this out on, so why don't we try a little bit of Death Smiles. If that's hooked up to the right one. Yes. And it's important, if you have lots of boards hooked up, just take a look at, different ones and see what they look like and make sure everything looks good. This is probably one of my best looking games that I'm going to run, so it's important for me anyway to make sure this looks nice and vibrant, and that all the colors are, the right shades and whatnot. Okay, looks like we're reasonably centered there. We should be able to see on the main title screen when it actually says Death Smiles across the screen. That'll tell us if we've got any that's hanging off the edge there. Good. Alright, looks like we might have a little off the edge on the left, but pretty good. So I'll probably do, just a little bit more tweaking kind of here and there on this one, but generally speaking, looks pretty good. I might do a couple more adjustments, but let's go ahead and put this thing in the machine. So after all the trials and tribulations, I finally got the monitor in and adjusted, and you can see Joyce approves. And generally speaking, it looks great. It's nice and sharp. All the colors are nice and vibrant. We have everything adjusted correctly. The only problem that I've had is I had an issue with the vertical hold, and I wasn't able to get it completely fixed. I'm not even sure if you guys will be able to see this, but when I go to select a game on here, you see the screen actually sort of bounces just a little bit in between each one, or every time I hit the joystick. And it does bounce a little bit when some of my other games initially load. But once you get into the game, there isn't any problem. So it isn't a big enough problem that I think it's worth messing with this anymore. Since it's been, I guess, a month since I started working on this. So, long story short, we got everything set up and ready to go. So I guess I'll just show you a little bit of gameplay footage so you can take a look.
Breaking chain. Breaking chain. Breaking chain. Breaking chain. Breaking chain. Breaking chain.